If you've ever faced a tough negotiation, launched a business, or just tried to navigate a complicated relationship, you've already stepped onto a battlefield. The weapons might be different today, but the rules of strategy haven't changed. Over 2,500 years ago, a Chinese military philosopher named Sun Tzu wrote a 13-chapter manual that has since become the blueprint for victory in war, business, sports, and life. Today we're breaking down the art of war in around 10 minutes. I'll walk you through the most impactful chapters, number the core ideas, share exact lines from the text, and show you how to apply them right now. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Laying Plans. Every great campaign starts long before the first move. Chapter 1 is Sun Tzu's foundation. Strategy is born in calculation, not chaos. 1. Victory is won in the planning phase. Sun Tzu writes, "The victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory." What this means: amateurs react, professionals prepare. Before you launch a project, enter a market, or confront a conflict, you must run the numbers, assess your resources, and map out contingencies. Sun Tzu teaches that battles aren't won by brute force, they're won by the side that did the homework. If your plan is solid, execution becomes a formality. 2. Assess the 5 constants before acting. Sun Tzu lists 5 factors that determine outcomes: moral law, heaven, timing, weather, earth, terrain, the commander, and method and discipline. In modern terms, are your team's values aligned? Is the market timing right? Do you understand your competitive landscape? Is leadership competent? Are your systems reliable? Sun Tzu insists that skipping even one of these guarantees blind spots. Run this checklist before any major decision. Strategy isn't guesswork, it's disciplined evaluation. Chapter 2. Waging War. Every great campaign starts long before the first move. Chapter 1 is Sun Tzu's foundation. Strategy is born in calculation, not chaos. 1. Prolonged conflict destroys the victor. 2. Sun Tzu states, "There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. Whether it's a legal battle, a toxic work environment, or a price war, dragging things out drains momentum, capital, and morale." Speed isn't just about aggression, it's about efficiency. Make decisive moves, cut your losses early if a path is failing, and never confuse persistence with purpose. The goal isn't to endure the fight, it's to end it favorably. 2. Win by preserving, not annihilating. Sun Tzu writes, "To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill." Destruction is easy. Capture is strategic. In business, this means acquiring competitors, winning market share through superior value, or turning rivals into partners. In leadership, it means resolving conflicts with win-win frameworks instead of crushing opposition. True mastery leaves the prize intact and ready to use. Chapter 3. Attack by Stratagem. Force is the last resort. Chapter 3 is about outthinking, not overpowering. It's where psychology, deception, and adaptability take center stage. 1. Strategy beats strength every time. Sun Tzu notes, all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. This isn't about lying. It's about controlling perception. In negotiations, you don't reveal your bottom line. In product launches, you don't telegraph your full roadmap. In personal development, you let results speak while quietly building competence. Sun Tzu teaches that if your opponent misreads your intentions, they'll misallocate their resources. Control the narrative, and you control the battlefield. 2. Adaptability is non-negotiable. Sun Tzu compares strategy to water. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. Rigid plans break under pressure. Markets shift. Algorithms change. People evolve. The strategist doesn't cling to a blueprint. They read the room and pivot. Sun Tzu's genius lies in this fluidity. Build strong principles, but keep your tactics flexible. If your strategy can't bend, it will snap. Chapter 4. Tactical Dispositions. Victory isn't just about planning. It's about positioning yourself so defeat becomes impossible before engagement even begins. Chapter 4 focuses on building unbreakable foundations and exercising patience until the moment to strike arrives. 1. Make yourself invincible first. Sun Tzu writes, "To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself." What this means: you cannot force a competitor to fail or a market to shift, but you can absolutely control your own vulnerabilities. In business and life, this means building cash reserves, mastering your craft, and stress testing your systems before chasing growth. Invincibility isn't aggression, it's disciplined preparation. When you stop leaking resources and plug every gap, you shift from hoping to win to waiting for the right moment to claim it. 2. Victory is visible, but the foundation is invisible. Sun Tzu notes, "What the wise general does is lay plans that cannot be defeated. What the foolish does is rely on hope." Modern application. Amateurs celebrate the highlight reel. Professionals obsess over the back-end infrastructure. Your invisible work, processes, team training, data systems, risk mitigation, is what makes public success repeatable. Sun Tzu teaches that flashy wins without structural depth collapse under pressure. Build quietly, validate rigorously, and let results speak when the timing aligns. 3. The elements of victory. He identifies 5 elements that lead to victory: knowing when to fight and when not to, knowing how to handle superior and inferior forces, maintaining army morale, being prepared, and having a commander free from interference by the sovereign. Chapter 5. Energy. How do you turn limited resources into unstoppable momentum? Chapter 5 reveals that power isn't about size. It's about organization, timing, and the psychological force of coordinated action. 1. Direct force plus indirect momentum. Victory. Sun Tzu states, "In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory." What this means: frontal attacks exhaust you. Combine direct action, your core product, your main effort, with indirect pressure, brand storytelling, strategic partnerships, market positioning. The blend creates compounding force. A company that only advertises burns out. A company that advertises, builds community, optimizes UX, and leverages scarcity wins without ever needing to outspend rivals. 2. Momentum depends on structure, not just passion. Sun Tzu writes, "The onset of troops is like the rush of a flood, which will carry even stones in its course." Modern application. A flood isn't powerful because of individual drops. It's powerful because of alignment and gravity. Build systems that channel energy. Clear roles, synchronized timing, unified direction, and measurable milestones. When passion is routed through structure, scattered effort becomes an unstoppable wave. Leaders don't motivate people to work harder. They design workflows that make progress inevitable. 3. The extraordinary and ordinary. Sun Tzu uses the analogy of music, noting that while there are only 5 notes, the combinations are endless. Similarly, in strategy, combining ordinary tactics with extraordinary ones creates powerful effects that seem magical to opponents. Chapter 6. Weak points and strong strategy is fundamentally about exploiting gaps and protecting vulnerabilities. Chapter 6 teaches how to control the rhythm of engagement by dictating where and when conflict happens. 1. Strike where they are unprepared. Appear where you are least expected. Sun Tzu writes, "Appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to places where you are not expected." What this means: don't compete on saturated battlegrounds. Find underserved niches, overlooked customer pain points, or competitor blind spots. Win by being absent from their expectations but present where it matters. In marketing, this is blue ocean positioning. In negotiations, it's introducing a variable they haven't priced in. control attention, and you control leverage. 2. Control the initiative. Never react to their timeline. Sun Tzu notes, "If I wish to join battle, the enemy, notwithstanding he be behind high walls and deep moats, cannot but join battle." Modern application. If you're constantly responding to emails, algorithm changes, or competitor moves, you're bleeding energy. Set the pace. Launch on your terms. Force others to adapt to your rhythm. Initiative is psychological and operational dominance. The side that dictates the tempo wins the war before the first shot is fired. Chapter 7. Maneuvering movement is strategy in motion. Chapter 7 covers the logistics, discipline, and psychological positioning required to advance effectively without losing cohesion or burning out. 1. Speed and unity turn distance into advantage. Sun Tzu writes, "Let your rapidity be that of the wind, your compactness that of the forest." What this means: fast execution catches opponents off guard, but speed without alignment causes chaos. Move quickly, but maintain tight coordination. In modern terms, agile development, rapid iteration, and synchronized team execution beat slow, bloated competitors. Speed isn't reckless haste, it's focused momentum. When your team moves as one unit, you cover ground others can't. 2. Turn disadvantages into opportunities through positioning. Sun Tzu notes, "The difficulty of tactical maneuvering consists in turning the devious into the direct and misfortune into gain." Modern application. A longer route might seem inefficient, but if it avoids conflict, preserves resources, and arrives fresher, it's smarter. In life and business, taking the indirect path, building relationships, learning skills, waiting for market shifts often yields greater returns than forced shortcuts. Strategy isn't about taking the shortest line, it's about taking the most sustainable path to victory. Chapter 8. Variation in tactics. Rigid adherence to a plan is a recipe for disaster. Chapter 8 emphasizes flexibility, knowing when to break rules, and adapting to real-time conditions without losing strategic clarity. 1. The 5 situations. Sun Tzu identifies 5 situations requiring different responses: desperate ground, facile ground, contentious ground, open ground, and ground of intersecting highways. Each requires a different tactical approach. 2. Not all orders should be followed. Not all advantages should be pursued. Sun Tzu states, "There are roads which must not be followed, armies which must not be attacked, towns which must not be besieged, positions which must not be contested, commands of the sovereign which must not be obeyed." What this means: blind obedience to hierarchy, tradition, or even your own past strategies can be fatal. Evaluate every opportunity through the lens of current context. If a good deal compromises your core values, drains your team, or violates your long-term vision, walk away. Strategic discipline sometimes means saying no to apparent wins. 3. Adaptability requires clear principles, not rigid rules. Sun Tzu notes, "The general who thoroughly understands the advantages that accompany variation of tactics knows how to handle his troops." Modern application. Principles like preserve capital, protect the team, serve the customer are your compass. Tactics are the route. When terrain changes, keep the compass, change the path. Leaders who confuse tactics with principles break under pressure. Build a culture where questioning the how is encouraged as long as the why remains unshaken. Chapter 9. The Army on the March. How you read the environment and your own people determines survival. Chapter 9 is about situational awareness, reading subtle signals, and maintaining morale in uncertain conditions. 1. Reading the terrain. He teaches how to interpret various terrain features and their strategic implications. For example, when you come to a hill or a bank, occupy the sunny side, with the slope on your right rear. This detailed observation of environmental factors applies to business environments and competitive landscapes. 2. Small signs reveal large truths. Sun Tzu writes, "When the birds rise, there are ambushers beneath them. When the beasts startle, there is an approaching force. What this means? The battlefield doesn't announce its shifts with fanfare. It whispers. Pay attention to micro-signals. Shifts in customer behavior, employee morale dips, competitor hiring patterns, supply chain delays, or sudden market sentiment changes. Train yourself to notice the details before they become crises. Intelligence isn't about having all the data. It's about interpreting the right signals. 3. Discipline and care must coexist. Sun Tzu notes, if soldiers are treated with kindness but not commanded with firmness, they will be like spoiled children. If commanded with firmness but not treated with kindness, they will be disobedient. Modern application. Leadership isn't about being liked or being feared. It's about being respected through consistent standards paired with genuine care. In modern teams, this means psychological safety plus accountability. Without both, you get either resentment or complacency. Build trust through transparency, enforce standards through consistency, and watch loyalty become your greatest strategic asset. Chapter 10. Terrain. You don't fight in a vacuum. Chapter 10 reminds us that environment dictates possibility. Success isn't just what you do, it's where and when you do it. 1. Position determines power. Sun Tzu classifies 6 types of terrain, noting, he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Your terrain today is your industry, your network, your timing, and your personal capacity. Fighting a saturated market head-on is like charging uphill. Sun Tzu teaches us to pick our ground, enter niches where you have advantage, wait for competitors to overextend, and only engage when conditions favor you. Location isn't just physical, it's contextual. Choose wisely. The 6 types of ground. Sun Tzu categorizes terrain into 6 types. A. Accessible ground. B. Entangling ground. C. Temporizing ground. D. Narrow passes. E. Precipitous heights. And F. Positions at a great distance from the enemy. Each requires different approaches. 2. Leadership owns the outcome, not the conditions. Sun Tzu writes, if the general is weak and without authority, the troops will be restless and insubordinate. Terrain can be harsh, but leadership determines how you navigate it. Blaming the economy, the algorithm, or bad luck is a surrender of agency. Sun Tzu places the burden squarely on the commander. Read the landscape, adjust your formation, and lead with clarity. When conditions are against you, discipline and direction become your greatest weapons. The calamities of the army. He identifies 6 situations that lead to disaster. A. Flight. B. Insubordination. C. Collapse. D. Ruin. Destruction. And F. Route understanding. These helps prevent strategic failures before they occur. Chapter 11. The 9 situations. Not all environments demand the same approach. Chapter 11. Maps 9 distinct strategic landscapes, teaching leaders how to read the psychological and tactical terrain before committing energy. It's the ultimate guide to matching your mindset to your moment. 1. Adapt your leadership style to the ground your team occupies. Sun Tzu writes, on dispersive ground, do not fight. On facile ground, halt not. On contentious ground, attack not. On desperate ground, fight. What this means. Strategy isn't one size fits all. If your team is on dispersive ground, early stage, scattered focus, low alignment, forcing high-stakes decisions breeds chaos. Build cohesion first. If you're on desperate ground, market crisis, survival mode, zero fallback, that pressure becomes fuel. Sun Tzu teaches that effective leaders don't fight the terrain. They read it, then adjust their command style to match it. Ignoring context guarantees friction. Aligning with it unlocks execution. The 9 grounds. He outlines 9 distinct situations. A. Dispersive ground. B. Facile ground. C. Contentious ground. D. Open ground. E. Ground of intersecting highways. F. Serious ground. G. Difficult ground. H. Hemmed-in ground. And I. Desperate ground. Each requires specific tactics. 2. Engineered urgency outperforms chronic comfort. Sun Tzu states, place your army in deadly peril, and it will survive. plunge it into desperate straits, and it will come off in safety. Modern application. This isn't about reckless endangerment, it's about calibrated pressure. Comfort breeds complacency. When escape routes are removed and stakes are clear, human focus sharpens and innovation accelerates. In business, this means setting non-negotiable deadlines, eliminating maybe options, and tying resources directly to outcomes. The strategist doesn't hope for motivation. They design conditions where excellence becomes the only viable path. Control the pressure, channel the energy, and watch ordinary teams produce extraordinary results. Chapter 12. The Attack by Fire. You don't fight in a vacuum. Chapter 10 reminds us that environment dictates possibility. Success isn't just what you do, it's where and when you do it. 1. Use decisive force only when conditions align. Sun Tzu writes, "Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical." What this means: don't waste capital, reputation, or energy on half measures. Wait for the convergence of timing, readiness, and clear objective. When you act, act fully. Half-committed launches fail. Full commitment wins. In business, this means skipping mediocre opportunities and waiting for the one where your preparation, market timing, and resource allocation create an undeniable edge. The 5 ways to attack with fire. Sun Tzu identifies 5 methods. A. Burning soldiers in their camp. B. Burning stores. C. Burning baggage trains. D. Burning arsenals and magazines. And E. Dropping fire into the enemy's ranks. 2. Emotional control prevents strategic ruin. Sun Tzu states, "No ruler should put troops into the field merely to gratify his own spleen. No general should fight a battle simply out of pique." Modern application. Ego, anger, and revenge have destroyed more campaigns than superior enemy forces. Before any major move, ask, is this driven by data and strategy or by emotion? If it's the latter, pause. Strategy requires cold clarity, not hot reactions. The most dangerous opponent isn't the strongest, it's the one who never lets emotion dictate the playbook. Chapter 13. The Use of Spies. Information is the ultimate leverage. Chapter 13. Closes the book not with swords, but with secrets. Sun Tzu knew that ignorance is the fastest route to defeat. 1. Intelligence must be earned, not assumed. Sun Tzu states, "Foreknowledge cannot be gotten from ghosts and spirits. It must be obtained from men who know the enemy situation." In the modern world, spies are customer feedback, market research, data analytics, and honest mentors. Sun Tzu warns against guessing, wishful thinking, or relying on outdated intel. If you're not actively gathering real-time information about your competition, your audience, or your own blind spots, you're flying blind. Strategy without intelligence is just theater. 2. Reward and protect your information networks. Sun Tzu emphasizes, the art of espionage is the sovereign's most important function. He doesn't just say get information, he says cultivate it. Listen to frontline employees. Compensate mentors and advisors fairly. Build trust so people bring you hard truths, not flattery. In business and life, the people who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, are your greatest strategic asset. Guard them, value them, and act on what they share. The art of war is a framework for clarity, efficiency, and disciplined thinking. Sun Tzu's message: win through preparation, conserve energy, adapt relentlessly, respect environment, and gather truth. These principles help you transcend competition. If this reshaped your strategy, subscribe and enable notifications for weekly book deep dives. Comment your favorite principle below. I read them all. Plan your next move. See you next time.